is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point. And as always, we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot of volleyball to discuss, such as Hawaii, Itahi, ALOHA, ALOHA, taking down UC Irvine not once but twice in straight sets. How big were those wins for the Bows? Also, we had some Miva madness happening as McHenry is all alone in first place, just like everybody predicted. Also, we had UCLA surviving against UC Santa Barbara in a pair of full-set wins. We have some other volleyball happening, as there were no upsets in NCAA beach volleyball, but TPS and LOVB were just popping. What is going on with LOVB Omaha? Can they get back up off the ground, or are they down for the count? Also, Huntington Beach pulled off a stunner against Loyola in the high school boys volleyball team, and Orange Coast took down San Diego Mesa in the junior college men's volleyball team. So Hammer Volleyball, that's next. Some of us did this volleyball action here on Set Point. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of Set Point here on iSports Radio. You're listening to All That Is Sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Set Point. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday, wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 288 of Set Point. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, Set Point would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate that. We're trying to reach 400, if not 500 subscribers by the time the end of March rolls around. So with your help, we could definitely make it happen. Also, make sure to check us out on other podcast platforms such as Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, GeoSavin. The list goes on and on. And make sure to follow us on our website or check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news. Our blog, our page is dedicated to each podcast, such as Set Point, our merchandise shop where you can cut t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and more. And you can catch or check out the Hall of Fame, which I am inductee number 10. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports days around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, Raw Nutrition Supplements, and Vital Apparel. So without any further delay, let's get on in to what our sponsors are all about.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at @sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of our amazing sponsors as well as our website. Also, make sure to check out our latest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com and use the promo code ISR for 10% off your order. So we thank them for being the official sponsor of IE Sports Radio as well as our other three sponsors. And the way you can follow Setpoint on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at set_point.ie. You can follow me, the host, personally on X as well, at Teran Rodriguez 1. And you can follow Setpoint on Instagram at set_point_IESR. Also, the link down below into the not the comment section, but the description of the show is the Supporters Club, and there is the link to Setpoint Supporters Club via Spreaker as well. The Supporters Club, if you want to be a member of that, is only $5 a month, and this will get you a shout out from all of our amazing shows. We'll get you a shout out from me, and it'll get you an opportunity to be a guest on Setpoint via the live show or maybe Setpoint Extra Points. which is basically would be a pre-recorded show. So you have that right there. And then if you happen to be a member of the Supporters Club for more than 4 months or 4 months or more, or if you're a guest that is now a Supporters Club member, then you'll get a t-shirt or tank top, depending on what your preference is, shipped all the way to you. And who knows, maybe we'll spice it up a little bit more. So definitely be a member of the Supporters Club. It's only $5 a month. Basically, it's like a cup of coffee. So there you have it right there. So let's get on into the volleyball action. So week 9 of the NCAA men's volleyball season did not disappoint. It was a fun week, to say the least. And we are now in the month of March. So where's the time been going when it comes to all of these, when it comes to the year 2025? We're already the 6th done in terms of the year. I never would have thought of that, but there you go. But week 9 of the NCAA men's volleyball season was fun. The ranked-on-ranked matches started on Wednesday when we had UC Santa Barbara taking on UCLA, or tied for number 16 UC Santa Barbara take on number 2 UCLA. And it was a very fun match. Before we get on into the ranked-on-ranked matches, we got to go through some of the other notable matches that might have happened, just because you never know what I might have missed. I mean, we had Belmont Abbey taking down Leeds McRae in straight sets. Santa Barbara taking down Cal Lutheran in straight sets. King of Tennessee pulling off a fantastic reverse sweep against North Greenville. Erskine sweeping Emmanuel. And then jumping over to Wednesday, we did have UCLA coming out on top against UC Santa Barbara in 4 sets at Poly Pavilion. Now, UC Santa Barbara was missing Jess Bianchi, and that is big right there. Santa Barbara has to go with their younger players. And they were also missing George Bruning as well. So no George Bruning and no Jess Bianchi. And unfortunately, they just could not keep with UCLA. But they gave it a good effort. Unfortunately, it just was not good enough to take down a good team like UCLA coming off of an amazing 2-game series win against UC Irvine. You got to play some perfect volleyball, which UC Santa Barbara did at times, but UCLA just had the better of them. So you had that right there. You also had Merrimack taking on Harvard in 4. That's a good win for Merrimack. Merrimack is a very underrated team. They may not get the love that they deserve, like most other teams do, but I think Merrimack is slowly but surely creeping, and they could be in consideration for making a conference in the near future. Then we had USC sweeping Vanguard. Good little series for Vanguard as they kick off MPSF play with a win. And that's pretty much that for the notable matchups right there. And then jumping over to Thursday, we had the Masters College taking down Concordia Irvine in straight sets, which was no surprise. I mean, the Masters College is the best NAIA team, and Concordia Irvine just isn't up to snuff when it comes to the NCAA Division I-2 scene. You also had Fort Valley State sweeping Benedict. That's a good win. You also had Ball State outlasting Ohio State in 5 sets, which was a very good win. We had the Battle of Illinois, where we had number 15 Lewis taking down number 4 Loyola in 4 sets, which I thought was a big win for those Flyers. And with Lewis knocking off Loyola, the new leader of the MIVA, or the MIVA, is none other than McKendree. So McKendree's special season continues to roll on. We also had Pepperdine, number 9 Pepperdine taking down number 12 Grand Canyon in 4 sets. So a good win for the Waves to kick off MPSF play. And then jumping over to Friday, we had round 2 between the Waves and the Lopes, where just like the first meeting, Pepperdine took down Grand Canyon in 4 sets. So that's a good momentum builder for Pepperdine. For Grand Canyon, I think it's safe to say I think their hot start to the season is kind of running out. I just don't think they have not been the same since that Long Beach series. And now they're starting to feel the effects of not having Matt Worley as their head coach. You had UCLA taking down UC Santa Barbara in 4 sets. Just like before, Santa Barbara gave UCLA all that they can handle, but UCLA just has too much firepower, like Cam Thorne. You had Cooper Robinson, Zach Rama. The list goes on and on. You had UC San Diego taking down Menlo in straight sets in the battle of the Big West versus the MPSF. You had Stanford sweeping UC Merced. CSUN took down Cal Lutheran. St. Francis took down George Mason in non-conference play. And then Lindenwood took down Purdue Fort Wayne in 4 sets in MIVA play.
And then we also had an EIVA play. We had Princeton taking down NJIT in four sets, which that's now 9 straight wins over the Highlanders for the Tigers. So the Battle of Joyzy is just going the way of Princeton. You also had Penn State cooling off Merrimack in 4. Kind of a little surprising that Penn State found a way to win. I mean, Merrimack does have talent, but Penn State is still Penn State. And nothing against Merrimack. I just think that Penn State is still them. And Will Coons had a double-double as he had 15 kills, 11 digs. So there was no way he was going to see Penn State not get unranked this week. And then some Conference Carolinas play. We had Mount Olive taking down Erskine in straight sets. Got to keep an eye out for those Trojans. I think Mount Olive is a sneaky good team, and they've got a pretty darn good libero in Luca Colombo. So remember that name right there. And then that is that right there. I guess we should mention this little win. We had St. Thomas Aquinas sweeping away Fairleigh Dickinson. So don't look now, but St. Thomas Aquinas has won 5 straight. And then also on Friday, we had Hawaii sweeping UC Irvine. Can't forget about that. This was a very good and impressive showing for Hawaii. I mean, UC Irvine had their chance in the second set, but Hawaii just said nope, nope, nope. And for Hawaii, this was the start of something very special this past weekend. But then we jumped to Saturday's matches. We had some notable matchups. We had George Mason take down LIU. Belmont Abbey got revenge on King, beating them in 4. North Greenville took down Lees McRae in 4. And I mentioned Belmont Abbey taking down King, getting revenge on King. That's not true. Belmont Abbey has yet to play King, but I digress. Lincoln Memorial took down Princeton. Tough for those gutty little Tigers as they were coming off of a second of a back-to-back. You also had Ball State taking down Lindenwood in 4. You had St. Francis taking down Charleston in 5 to get their sweep over the EIVA this week. We had Lewis outlasting Quincy again in 4 sets, or not 4 sets, in 5 sets. So Quincy is not that bad of a team. I'm just going to say that out right there. Their opposite had a program best 29 kills in the first meeting. But Lewis, once again, avoided the upset alert. You also had UC Santa Cruz, a Division III school, if I might add, taking down Menlo in 4 sets. So that was an impressive win for the Banana Slugs. I think they know it's the Banana Slugs, but good win for UC Santa Cruz. And then we had the upset of the week, if not upset of the night. We had UC San Diego taking down Stanford in 5 sets. Number 14, UC San Diego taking down number 8, Stanford in 5. Now, we got to remember that Stanford is still a young team, but UC San Diego was long yearning for a top 10 win, and they finally got it. They missed out against Grand Canyon twice. They missed out against UCLA. They finally got their top 10, and they also missed out on Loyola as well. But they finally got their top 10 win of the season, and right before conference play, too, so that's perfect timing. And then Sunday, the headliner match was Hawaii taking down UC Irvine in straight sets. Now, the first set I kind of missed out on, but apparently Joe Carlos struggled, and that's going to happen from time to time. Sometimes you walk into Stan Sheriff Center, it's just very tough to win, very tough to focus and whatnot. So it obviously wasn't meant to be for UC Irvine. They brought in Aiden Rigg, a redshirt freshman, and Nolan Flexen struggled in this series altogether. He hit below 100 in the first match, and then he hit in the negatives in the second match. That is not going to really win a whole lot of matches for UC Irvine. Max Grigoriev and Halir Heno both had solid games, but Hawaii was just on one. Christian Tatrisky was amazing. You also had Aiden Rohr, Kurt Neuster. Justin Todd is definitely one to watch for. He's a middle blocker, which I think is a good transition role for him. Trent Rosenthal continues to do great things at the setter position. Luis Sakanoko, Ileu Choi is an elite libero. No debate on that. So you have that right there. And then Lincoln Memorial swept NJIT for a perfect 2-0 week. Lincoln Memorial, look, if it weren't for the IVA or the Independent Volleyball Association basically being so forgotten about, I think Lincoln Memorial can make the NCAA tournament or the National Collegiate Men's Volleyball Tournament. Someone actually proposed that all the conferences should have like a power ranking system, just like the college football playoff, where there would be no expansions. I think the top 6 teams from each conference would advance, and then you would you would rank the teams via strength of conference. Like, say, the Big West would probably be number 1, and the MPSF 2, then the MIVA 3, then the EIVA 4, then Conference of Carolinas 5, and then the SIAC 6, and then IVA 7, and then so on and so forth. You also have the NEC as well. That was what that's pretty much me paraphrasing though, but I think it's a solid idea. I don't think it's a bad idea. The only problem is that if the conference tournament champions find out they're not in, then they'll have done that all for naught. That's why we kind of got to expand on the tournament. Give everyone a shot at partaking in the National Collegiate Tournament, whether you're a conference winner from the Big West, the EIVA, MIVA, NPSF, you name it. Because there's technically only 4 Power 4 conferences. Then you got the Conference of Carolinas and then the SIAC. And then it's only two at-larges, which would mean if the season ended today, I imagine it would be UC Irvine and maybe Hawaii getting in. But a little more on that later. But that's going to do it for the Week 9 recap of NCAA men's volleyball. So now for the ABCA National Collegiate Men's Volleyball poll. As we all know, Long Beach State's still number 1. Hawaii jumped UC Irvine, but I'm so surprised they have not jumped UCLA. Like, what the heck? I get it. Hawaii lost to Stanford, but you got to remember that UCLA also lost to Ohio State. Granted, UCLA got their lick back against the Buckeyes, but I think Hawaii is deserving to be number 2, just because Hawaii swept UC Irvine not once, but twice, where UCLA needed 5 to beat UC Irvine at Pauley Pavilion. So I would have put Hawaii at 2 instead of 3. And then USC still in the top 5. BYU is number 6. CSUN had the biggest jump as they went from 10 to 7. This is their highest ranking since 2018. Pepperdine is 8. Loyola is 9. Stanford is 10 after they kind of tumbled against UC San Diego. Then you had McKendree so close to that top 10 at 11. Ball State 12. UC San Diego only going up 1 spot despite upsetting Stanford on the road. Man, that's a little disrespectful if you ask me. And then Penn State is still clinging on to being ranked. And then into the poll is Princeton, which is good for former Set Point guest Sam Schweisky and his team. So that is the ABCA men's volleyball coach. Yeah, the ABCA National Collegiate Men's Volleyball poll right there. Let's go to the Off the Block media poll from last week. So as we all know, this poll gets released Tuesdays, which means I might have to switch Set Point to Tuesday. I'm not entirely certain, but that's when I record my content via video. So I don't know. I mean, it's a lot if you ask me. So we'll have to wait and see. But Off the Block men's volleyball media poll, it's Long Beach State 1, UCLA 2, UC Irvine 3, Hawaii 4, USC 5, Loyola 6, BYU 7. I forgot to put number 8 down. Gosh darn it. Number 8 is CSUN. So CSUN is number 8. I forgot to put CSUN down. I'm sorry, CSUN fans. Let me fix that real quick. But yeah, CSUN is 8. And then as we all saw, Ball State is 9. And then Stanford is 10. So yeah, I dropped the ball on that. I'm sorry, everybody. Let me just fix that really quick. But yeah, CSUN is in the Off the Block media poll. So I did not, well, I kind of put them at 9, which you're about to see in a little bit. Ba-boom, there we go. CSUN is now number 8. So who did I vote for in last week's Off the Block media poll? In case you didn't catch last week's episode, I put Long Beach State 1, UCLA 2, UC Irvine 3. I put USC 4, which, yeah, that was a mistake. Hawaii 5, BYU 6, Loyola 7. I think that was the correct call. Stanford 8, CSUN 9, and then McKendree 10. I put McKendree there. We need to rank McKendree in this poll. Please and thank you. But anyway, that's who I voted for in last week's poll. Who I voted for in this week's poll just so happens to be Long Beach State 1, Hawaii 2, UCLA 3, UC Irvine 4, USC 5, Loyola 6, which that, looking back at it, that was a mistake. Whoops. BYU 7, CSUN 8, Pepperdine 9, and McKendree 10. I really want to put McKendree over Pepperdine, but they pushed Long Beach State to 5, and I think it's more tempting to put McKendree at 9 instead of 10, but I digress. So I unfortunately did not. I was an oversight on my part when it came to Loyola and BYU. So if I had to redo it again, I'd probably put BYU at 6 and then Loyola at 7, but I digress. So now let's go over the Week 10 preview of NCAA men's volleyball. We're already in Week 10. Well, for those, it's Week 9, but I still count this as Week 10. I don't care what anyone says. But yeah, Week 10 of the NCAA men's volleyball season is here. So nothing really too big on Monday, which is today. We have Jamestown taking on Vanguard, Division III school, or I think that's an NAI school taking on a NCAA Division 1-2 team. And then Tuesday we have Ball State at Quincy. I still don't know the whereabouts of Tanashi and Davozovcheva, but if I'm Ball State, I'm careful with this match. Quincy is definitely a good team. I'd call Quincy a sleeper team if you ask me, because they know full well if they want to make the MIVA tournament, they need some conference wins. Otherwise, they're going to be the lone team on the outside looking in. And then St. Francis takes on Queens in a non-conference affair. Then Wednesday, we get the party started. We get number 1 Long Beach State at number 7 CSUN. So many thought that this was going to be a steamroll matchup for Long Beach State. This is going to be a warm-up matchup. Not anymore. Long Beach State is going to get a huge challenge from CSUN. They've got Jalen Phillips and I think that's his name. Yeah, Jalen Phillips, and then they've also got Stilian Delibosov. And then they also got Donovan Constable as well. So if I'm Long Beach State, I don't underestimate CSUN by any means. CSUN is going to get their best shot, and this is where the true gauntlet begins. So if I'm Long Beach State, I'm really digging every ball possible and just making sure Jalen Phillips does not catch fire. And then you have Sacred Heart at UC San Diego, Lincoln Memorial at King, and that's pretty much that right there. Thursday we have Wednesday we have Lindenwood at Hawaii as well. And then Thursday we have Lewis at Emmanuel. Nice little change of pace matchup right there for Emmanuel taking on a ranked team. And then also on Thursday, you've got number 10 Stanford at number 2 UCLA. Two teams will also face each other on Friday as well. This is going to be a real test for Stanford. Coming off of a loss against UC San Diego, they definitely do have the players to hang with UCLA. My only fear is Cooper Robinson goes off, as well as the likes of Ido David. He's back in the lineup, as we all know. Last week was his return, as well as Sean McQuiggan. And then you've also got Cam Thorne as well. And then Sean Kelly's kind of been in the mix as well. Zach Rama to Andrew Rowan is still doing great at the setter position. So Stanford might have a tough time with this considering they don't have any seniors on their team, but I think they can really challenge UCLA. Then we jump to Friday. Obviously, we have round 2 between the Cardinal and the Bruins. We have another Big West opener with UC San Diego taking on UC Santa Barbara. Well, UC San Diego, even though they only moved up 1 spot, their confidence did themselves a lot of favors with that win over Stanford, because now they have a little bit more confidence against UC Santa Barbara. Now, does that mean they're going to win? It still depends. I mean, if Santa Barbara still doesn't have Jess Bianchi and George, or at the very least George Bruning, then San Diego might roll over the Gauchos. But if I'm Santa Barbara, I would ride the hot hand of Riggs Guy. Riggs Guy had himself 25 kills, and he had over 550 against UCLA. So feed the hot hand to Riggs Guy, because Riggs Guy is that guy. And then also a non-con play, we have number 8 Pepperdine taking on number 4 UC Irvine. All right, this one's going to be a fun one. I think UC Irvine, they've lost 4 straight. Now they got to get their lick back. Pepperdine just beat Grand Canyon twice. So if I'm the Waves, I continue to ride that momentum. For the Anteaters, they got to get their lick back. They got to figure out their passing situation, and they got to figure out what is wrong with their team. They just did not pass well against Hawaii. I just think that UC Irvine needs a little bit of a get-back match to get their swagger going again. So you have that right there. You also have a sneaky good matchup in Ohio State at NJIT. Well, if NJIT wants to get back to being ranked, a win over Ohio State would do them wonders. The two also face each other on Saturday, so NJIT gets 2 chances to try to beat the Ohio State. And then also we have the match and series of the week. Number 5 USC at number 6 BYU, with the 2 teams facing each other on Saturday. I hope this is on BYU TV. If so, then this one's going to be popping. I think this is going to be a big test for USC. Their first true MPSF test. But I think that the Trojans are going to have their hands full playing at Smith Fieldhouse. And you got to remember, BYU technically had their season ended by USC because SC upset them in the MPSF tournament in 5 at the Galen Center. So, which I will proudly say I predicted that correctly. Okay, that sounded a little overconfident. My bad. But yeah, I think BYU is still going to remember that USC ended their season pretty much last year. So I think BYU is going to come in with a lot of fire, and USC knows what Trent Moser's all about. And they're going to need Dylan Klein and Sterling Foley to both go off, and they can't play with a whole lot of mistakes, which would also include no foot faults. Then you also have Loyola Chicago taking on Ball State in a top 15 matchup. I think this is going to be a fun matchup right here. Both these teams are going to try to get their lick back after and try to get some ground on McKendree. My only thing is for either team, will McKendree slip up the rest of the way? I think McKendree's got a pretty favorable schedule going forward, but it is what it is. And hopefully we will see the return of Tanashi Ndavas somehow, some way. But I digress. Then you've got Damon at Harvard. That's a pretty good matchup right there. A sneaky good matchup. It's not the flashiest or sexiest matchup, but I think it's a good matchup. And then closing off Friday, we have Lindenwood at Hawaii, which Hawaii in this series. Their player Clay Weeder will be taking on his former team in Lindenwood. So that's going to be a little bit of a storyline right there. And then we jump to Saturday, Ohio State at NJIT round 2, USC at BYU round 2. Sacred Heart is also playing the SoCal schools. They've got CSUN tonight. I believe it's Santa Barbara they got San Diego on Wednesday, Long Beach State on Friday, and then UC Irvine on Saturday. Yikes. That is a gauntlet right there. If Sacred Heart could even take a set off those teams, that would be a win right there. Then you also have number 19 Penn State at Grand Canyon on Saturday and Sunday. Well, if Penn State wants to still remain ranked, a win over Grand Canyon would do them wonders. Grand Canyon is kind of going through it as they've lost 4 in a row. They need a big-time swagger-back matchup. And let's see what Penn State can do on the road outside of Rec Hall, which they haven't had a whole lot of chances of doing. And then Sunday we have EIVA play with Charleston. Saturday and Sunday we have Harvard at Charleston. That's kind of a big match because those two, as well as Princeton, all 3 of them are 3-1. So the EIVA is kind of getting a little spicy, if you ask me. So we shall see what the Crimson and the Eagles have in store for us. And then, like I mentioned, on Sunday we have Penn State at Grand Canyon to round off all the notable matchups right there. So that is that for the NCAA Men's Volleyball Week 10 preview. So let's quickly recap some NCAA beach volleyball from week number 2. Long story short, there were not any upsets. Yeah, it's a little anticlimactic if you ask me, because last week we had all the upsets from the Hawaii tournament. We had UCLA losing to USC, even though that's not really an upset. But we had LMU defeating USC, Stanford beating USC, TCU losing a few times, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm going to try to skim through these. This is actually courtesy of college volleyball or collegebeachvb.com, because the NCAA website doesn't want to update their scores. But long story short, there were no upsets. There were no upsets. You had UCLA standing on business at the Battle for LA, as well as USC. You also had LMU taking care of business every day, and so on and so forth. So that is pretty much that right there. Again, I'm trying to skim through this as quickly as possible just so I don't waste too much time. But yeah, there were no notable upsets in terms of NCAA beach volleyball. It was the most quietest week I've seen in a hot minute. As let's jump to the AVCA Beach Volleyball Collegiate Poll. So this poll comes out on Tuesdays, which it's a bummer, but it is what it is. I have this show on Mondays. Maybe I'll consider moving it to Tuesday. So last week's AVCA Beach Volleyball Collegiate Poll was UCLA 1, LMU 2, USC 3, TCU 4, Stanford 5, Cal Poly 6, Florida State 7, Long Beach State 8, Cal 9, and LSU 10 for the top 10. Texas, I guess I should mention that last weekend, Texas wound up winning their invitational tournament, their own tournament. So good job to Steinmetzger and his team winning the Texas tournament. They will actually be heading down to Fort Worth to take on TCU in a match this weekend. And I might be able to go to that TCU dual meet. I really want to see some beach volleyball. I've not covered a volleyball event in over a month since the First Point Collegiate Challenge show, so I think that's got to change sooner rather than later. But this is from last week's poll. This isn't an updated poll. Tomorrow's poll will be updated, so you have that right there. And then you've got the NCAA Beach Volleyball Week 3 preview. So Week 3 was going to – I think this week is going to be – I hope should be a little bit more eventful. I hope it's not like – I want to see some sort of upset. I don't want to see anything – I wouldn't say snoozeville, but anything like of the sort of uneventful, if you ask me. So – nothing on Wednesday, to my knowledge. Well, there is a Big West Conference matchup between Bakersfield and CSUN, but that's not all that big. Let's keep it a buck. Nothing against those two teams. Bakersfield, actually, what am I talking about? Bakersfield did pull off the upset. There was a upset. Bakersfield pulled off an upset as they beat Georgia State 3-2. That was probably the only upset of the weekend, but that's a very good upset for Bakersfield. That way to represent the Big West Conference, if you ask me. Hawaii on Thursday plays Tulane as well as San Francisco. What? It's something. And then Washington plays Tulane. And we don't see Washington and Hawaii facing one another. That's sad. But Friday, jumping over to Friday, we have FIU versus Florida Gulf Coast. Nice little Florida matchup right there. We have Cal Poly at Arizona, or taking on Arizona, which I think that's going to be a good matchup. GCU taking on USC, Texas A&M Corpus Christi taking on Cal Poly, FIU taking on Stetson, Grand Canyon taking on Cal, another good matchup. And then we got LMU taking on Vanguard, which Vanguard, they were the best, what was it, like an NAIA Beach Volleyball Invitational champion? Yeah, I digress. Then Cal versus USC in a little bit of an MPSF matchup. Florida State TCU, that's the matchup. That's the matchup I really want to see on Friday. This is on Friday, by the way. But yeah, then we've got Washington Hawaii on Friday, which is a nice little matchup right there. I think that could be a nice little de facto matchup right there. Then UCLA Stanford, that's going to be another fun matchup right there. So that's that for some notable matchups on Friday. And then jumping over to Saturday, we should have at least one more, or a few more. I know TCU's got a few more in them. We have got Cal Poly versus Coastal Carolina. Okay, that's not that great, but it is what it is. You got Cal Poly taking on Arizona State. That's a fun little matchup. Grand Canyon, UCLA. LMU, Long Beach State. I mean, if LMU wasn't so talented, I'd say maybe Long Beach State has a chance. I think they have a boxer's chance, but I just think that LMU, if they play like they did against USC or in that Hawaii tournament, I don't think Long Beach State stands too much of a chance. And I feel sad for saying that, just because I totally respect Mike Campbell in this program. I just think that LMU is just going to look pretty darn good. Then you got Stanford versus USC, Cal versus UCLA, Cal versus Stanford, which makes me wonder, is USC and UCLA not playing? I guess not. So there you have it right there. And then Texas also plays in the TCU tournament, or the TCU Invitational, which I can't wait to see. I just got to get clearance from the athletic department from TCU first. But hopefully I will be there. If not, I will be sad-faced. But that will do it for the NCAA Beach Volleyball Week 3 preview. I know I kind of skimmed through that, but we've got a lot of volleyball to discuss. So we'll take a quick time out here. When we come back, we've got some Pro Volleyball Federation and LOVB to discuss. Keep it locked here. You're listening to Set Point here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you with the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders, Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Back with segment number 2 of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, such as New York State Sports with Ricky K, that goes on every Monday at noon Eastern Time. Also check out Fast Break with Davidson Crooks and Dentarius Locke. Dentarius is still recovering after, I think he has a track meet in Louisville, so hopefully he gets safe travels back to Pittsburgh. But yeah, definitely check out Fast Break because March Madness is vastly approaching. So without any further delay, let's get on into segment number 2. So let's talk some PVF, as we finally got the official numbers from the PVF All-Star match that was televised on CBS Sports, as there was 445,000 viewers for the All-Star match. So well done, PVF. Way to market this, way to brand this. Now let's get NCAA men's volleyball to be marketed and branded like this. NCAA, but I digress. So the PVF All-Star match garnering 445,000 viewers is absolutely amazing. Salute to the PVF. Great job in terms of their promoting. Great job in terms of all the hosts. Great job to all of the play-by-play people and the sideline reporters and whatnot. So amazing stuff. Now for the Week 8 recap and the Week 9 preview. So Week 8 took us to Thursday's matchup, took us to last Thursday, where we had 6 matches. We had the Orlando Valkyries taking on the Omaha Supernovas, and just like the last meeting, the Valkyries took down the Supernovas at CHI Health Center. So keep in mind, when playing at CHI Health Center, Omaha is practically invincible. They have not been swept once when playing at CHI. But that actually changed as Orlando rewrote some new history, as Orlando escaped with the first set, finished the set a little bit more comfortable in set number 2, and then rallied back from a 24-23 deficit to take the third set, 26-24, to complete the sweep. So this was the battle for first place in the PVF, and Orlando is starting to become the team that I thought they would be, as Brittany Abercrombie led the way with 24 kills and 13 digs. She almost had half of the Valkyries' kills altogether. So Brittany Abercrombie, former USC Trojan, fight on, she did amazing stuff for Orlando, and she continues to do great stuff. Not bad for a first-timer. Orlando also got 9 kills from Kaz Brown. They got 43 assists from Champu Gudapard. I gotta remember it's Champu, not her given first name that's on the stat sheet. For Omaha, they were led by Reagan Cooper, who had 15 kills. Brooke Nuneviller added 11 kills. And then also Emily Londa added 11 kills as well. Then Nuneviller also added 13 digs. So the big takeaway for Orlando is this, like I mentioned, they're starting to become the team that they were supposed to be. And they've now won 8 straight matches, which was actually a PVF record. So don't look now, but Orlando has caught fire. Now for Omaha, it was a little weird seeing them get swept on their home floor. Like, it's so weird to see that because more often than not, the CHI Health Center is one of the toughest places to win at. So to see Omaha getting swept is kind of weird. And for those that actually follow Terry, I forget, I think his last name is like Terry Pettis or Pettis. Yeah, Terry Pettis. He has this theory. He has, if you don't follow him, then you got to, because he's on Facebook and he has these long little like posts. He could write a novel of why the Omaha Supernovas were in first place. Their players don't have the statistics to like truly like truly muscle the entire league, but they do have the players. And sometimes you just need that correct lineup. I just think for Omaha, they just ran into a buzzsaw when it came to facing Orlando. And Orlando, they have won 7 straight, so nothing too bad. But this is actually the first time Omaha had ever been swept at CHI Health Center. So Orlando made history by being the first team to ever sweep the Omaha Supernovas. And now they became the first team ever to beat the Omaha Supernovas in straight sets at CHI Health Center. So got to give their props to Amy Pauly and her program. So good job, Orlando Valkyries. Brandon Buck, a.k.a. the franchise pops in the chat room. He says, thank you for your constant support and help, Teran. My pleasure, Brandon. Salute to you too, sir. All right, but yeah, Orlando is now in first place in the PVF. But don't count out the Supernovas just yet. I think Omaha is still the team that I think they are. And anyone that thinks that Omaha is down for the count, well, you are underestimating Omaha drastically. And then on Thursday, we had the Indy Ignite taking down the Vegas Thrill in 4 sets at Fisher's Event Center. So this was in Indiana. So for the Ignite, this was kind of the battle of 2 teams. Well, the Ignite and the Thrill. This was the battle of 2 teams that really needed a win. They really needed to get a win. There was more so for the Thrill, though, as the Ignite squeaked out with the first set. The Thrill thumped him in the second set by 11. And then the Ignite managed to take the third and fourth set pretty strongly, if you ask me, as Indy was led by Nina Kahik, who had 18 kills. You also had Azani Taylor with 14 digs and 17 kills. Sydney Hilly had 48 assists. And then Anna DeBeer, who is back playing on the court, which makes me so happy. She had 8 kills to go along with 7 blocks, which I think is pretty cool. And she also had 11 digs as well. So welcome back, Anna DeBeer. Yes, the hitting percentage wasn't all that was cracked up to be, but hey, she stuffed that stat sheet really well. For the Thrill, they were led by Hannah Maddox, who had 15 kills. Cameron Hanna also added 13 kills. And then Berkeley Oblad added 8 kills. Maddox also had 13 digs. And then Alicia Glass-Childress had 43 assists to go along with 15 digs. So the takeaway for the Thrill is this. They are going in the wrong direction. And this is very concerning for the Thrill because it was looking like they were going to have a worst to first storyline, but now they're going in the wrong direction, which I know ebbs and flows happen in terms of like all sorts of sports, but this is a little concerning if you ask me. But I'm hoping for Vegas' sake, they can turn it around. Now, for Indy, this was kind of a much-needed win just because they still need to keep pace in the top 4. Because remember, top 4 of the PVF make the PVF championship. Then to close off Thursday's matchups, we kind of had a little bit of an uneventful matchup. Okay, that's a little disrespectful for both teams, but we had the battle of 2 teams that were vying in the bottom 4 of the PVF, where we had the San Diego Mojo defeating the Grand Rapids Rise at Viejas Arena in 4 sets. 25-11, 18-25, 25-23, and 25-21. Finally, the Mojo wound up halting their skid. They had lost 6 straight matches going into this, and I was wondering if they were ever going to get a win. But they finally got the win as they were led by Kendra Dalkey, who had 16 kills. Reagan Pittman also chipped in 12 kills. And then Ronica Stone added 8 kills. And then Maria Shara Venegas added 13 digs. And then for the setter, we had Dayoung Lee, who had 48 assists to go along with 14 digs. So for the Rise, they were led by Paige Briggs Romine, or just Paige Briggs if you just really want to know her like that, if you're like a Western Kentucky fan. Anyway, she had 12 kills, and she also chipped in 7 digs. August Rasky also chipped in 36 assists to go along with 18 digs. And the second kill leader, or kill leaders, were Carly Snyder and Kaylee Nelson, along with Ali Bastianelli, who all had 7 kills apiece. Alina Ogilvy had 16 digs, and then Carly Snyder chipped in 13 digs. So for the Mojo, my takeaway for them is this. Finally, they wound up winning. I didn't think they would. I didn't think that they would be losing forever. I mean, the old saying goes, you can't suck forever. But finally, for the Mojo, they wound up winning a match. I was wondering when their next win was going to come. But for the Rise, this is kind of what I thought the Grand Rapids Rise would be. A little bit on the rebuilding side. They don't have a bad team, but I just felt that the Mojo really needed this win. They needed this win the worst way possible, because heaven knows when that next win could have come. Then we jump to Saturday's matches. We had the Orlando Valkyries outlasting the Atlanta Vibe in 5 sets. This seemed to be like the match full of runs, except for set 5, where every set was pretty much decided by 6+ points, where the Valkyries took the first 2 sets, Vibe took the next 2 sets, and then the Valkyries eked out with a 15-13 set 5 win. This was played in Orlando, and this is Orlando's 9th straight win, which I think is pretty darn cool. Brittany Abercrombie had a 20-20 match. She had 25 kills and 23 digs. Courtney Schwann also had 10 kills to go along with 13 digs. Champu Gudapard had 55 assists to go along with 11 digs. Adora Ane had 12 digs. Natalie Foster had 12 kills. And then for the Vibe, they were led by Merritt Beeson, who had 16 kills and 11 digs. Pia Timmer had 15 kills and 22 digs. Morgan Hentz had 17 digs. You also had Leah Edmond with 15 kills and 14 digs. And then you had Marley Monsteray with 49 kills and 14 digs. So Orlando, even though they needed 5 to beat the Vibe, it's still a good win, just because the Vibe are still a solid team. I would not call the Vibe a pushover team by any way, shape, or form. Now, for the Vibe, this was a missed opportunity to try to get some momentum and get a win to try to move up in the standings, or at least try to. And I thought this was unfortunate that they wound up losing, but they were on the road, and unfortunately, that's where the Orlando Valkyries thrive. So it's tough to beat a red-hot team like the Valkyries, so I think we can't fault the Vibe too much, but they're going to need to start stacking wins as much as possible. Because remember, this was the team that was slated to finish first in the PBF regular season standings. They are not living up to those expectations by any means. And remember, they also have the number 1 pick, even though they traded to get it, but I digress. And the next matchup we had on Saturday, we had a little bit the battle of the bottom. I hate to say that, but it kind of was between 2 bottom feeder teams, as the San Diego Mojo took down the Columbus Fury in 4 sets at Viejas Arena. The Fury took the first set 25-20, and then the Mojo took the next 3 sets by scores of 25-16, 25-15, and 25-22. Marcus Losgreat pops to the chat room. He says, salute. Salute to you too, sir. Thank you for popping in. Anyway, so for the Mojo, they were led by Ronica Stone, who had 12 kills. Reagan Pittman and Elise McGee both had 11 kills. Kendra Dalkey had 9 kills to go along with 17 digs. Maria Shara Venegas added 15 digs. Dayoung Lee had 49 assists to go along with 11 digs. Then for the Columbus Fury, they were led by Isabella I'm going to pronounce this right, Rapix, who had 14 kills and 9 digs. Kaylee Cox had 10 kills. Kate Georgiades had 19 digs. Why did they put Mary Kate? Isn't it just Kate Georgiades? Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I digress. Anyway, but that's pretty much that. No one that really popped out too much. Wilmer Rivera also had 32 assists to go along with 12 digs. So it was a fun streak while it lasted for the Fury, but unfortunately the Mojo kind of had a little bit more mojo in them. And then we had two sweeps on Sunday, first starting off with the Omaha Supernova sweeping the Indy Ignite at CHI Health Center. All right, long story short, the Supernovas needed this win just because if they lost this one, they would have been further back of the Valkyries. And the second and third set, the Supernovas wound up winning by 2, but any set win is a big set win, as the Valkyries were led by Brooke Nunaviller, who had 16 kills and 9 digs. Reagan Cooper had added 10 kills. You had Natalia Valentine Anderson, who had 29 assists. And then for the Ignite, this was kind of the homecoming for Sydney Helios. She had 40 assists to go along with 6 digs. Remember, she played for Omaha before signing with the Indy Ignite. Elena Scott had 18 digs. Lekator member Benet had 10 kills and 10 digs, so she had a 10 by 10. Lydia Martin led the Ignite with 11 kills. So again, this was a big win for Omaha. They needed to win, otherwise they would have been further back of the Valkyries. The Ignite, unfortunately, just could not stop a much-needed Omaha team, or a desperate Omaha team that needed a win. So you had that right there. And then the last matchup we had was the Grand Rapids Rise defeating the Vegas Thrill in Vegas in straight sets. So the Vegas Thrill are going the wrong way. They are not going the correct direction. The sad thing is that the Thrill actually wound up losing on the birthday of Hannah Maddox. How dare you lose on the Queen on the day of the Queen Hannah Maddox? You ought to be ashamed. I'm just kidding. Anyway, the Rise were led by Erica Pritchard, who had 14 kills. Paige Briggs-Romine had a 10 by 10, 10 kills, 10 digs. Elena Ogilvy had 17 digs. 27 assists went to August Raski, along with 8 digs. For the Thrill, they were led by, they didn't have one player in double digits in kills, by the way. Lauren Jardine, who had 8 kills, she led the way for the Thrill. They also got 7 kills from Hannah Maddox. They got 10 digs from Mary Schroll. They got 19 assists from Carly Graham, and then 12 assists from Alicia Glass-Childress. So, yeah, this was a little bit disappointing by the Thrill. They are not going the right direction. They're going the wrong way in terms of where they need to go. But I digress. That is that for Week 8 of the PVF in terms of the recap. Week 9 starts off on Wednesday, where the San Diego Mojo take on the Grand Rapids Rise. Do I really need to discuss this matchup? I mean, the Mojo have won 2 in a row. They've got their mojo back, no pun intended. But can they take down the Grand Rapids Rise on the road? That seems to be the thing right there for the Mojo. They do have a win over the Omaha Supernovas on the road, but the Rise are going to be a whole different animal, so we shall see. Then also on Wednesday, we have a triple header Wednesday. We also have the Omaha Supernovas taking on the Columbus Fury. Well, the Supernovas better hope that they don't have any more slip-ups along the way, because as long as the Valkyries are still remaining hot, they are in no position to be losing by any means. So they got to keep it going. By the way, the San Diego Mojo Grand Rapids Rise match will be on the Roku channel. Fury Supernovas will be on Volleyball TV. Then you've got Indy Ignite at the Vegas Thrill on YouTube, which the Thrill needs to win. There's no doubt about it, because they went from first place all the way down to 4th place. And dare I say it, did the Columbus Fury break the Vegas Thrill? Did the worst team in the PVF break the best team in the PVF? I mean, this is kind of what happens when you have a 10-day layoff, but I digress. And then you're all wondering what happened with the Vegas Thrill and the Atlanta Vibe. Well, that's going to be on Friday on the Roku channel. The Thrill need to win. There's no doubt about it. But so do the Vibe. The Vibe are right on the coattails of the Vegas Thrill. So if the Thrill can't win on Friday, then I think they might have contracted the Raider virus. I'm just kidding, Raider fans. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. And then on Sunday, we have another triple header. We have the Indy Ignite at the Atlanta Vibe. It's a busy home weekend for Atlanta. They need to get as many wins as possible. Otherwise, they're going to veer backwards in more ways than one, not just in the standings, but in terms of their playoff hopes. Sunday, we also have the Columbus Fury at the Orlando Valkyries. Another big matchup for Columbus. This will be played on CBS Sports Network. The previous match will be played on YouTube. The Valkyries, if they somehow lose this matchup, I will be stunned. I would be shocked if Orlando played. And I just realized that's their only match of the week. So the Valkyries better not find a way to mess up. I can't imagine the Valkyries would lose to the Fury. I mean, yes, it'll have been 8 days since they last played, but there's no way Orlando loses this. Just don't find a way to fumble the bag. Don't fumble Ruski, Valkyries, please. And then on Sunday, we have Grand Rapids Rise at San Diego Mojo. All right, so interesting little week for the Mojo. They can realistically go 3-0 this week because the Rise are no better than the Mojo and the Fury are no worse than the Mojo. They could also go 0-3, but you never know with the Mojo. I'm hoping for, or I'm sorry, I'm reading this incorrectly. There's only a doubleheader on Sunday. Week 10 is when the Mojo and the Grand Rapids Rise kick things off. But realistically, the Mojo could go 3-0 in their next 3 matches. They could go 2-0 this week, or they can go 0-2, but only time will tell. All right, that is going to do it for the PVF Week 8 recap. We're actually going to take one more commercial break. When we come back, we've got some LOVB to discuss, as well as some high school boys volleyball and some 3C2A men's volleyball. Keep it locked here. You're listening to Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always willing to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back with the final segment of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows. Chi-Town Weekly will be coming up in a little bit for all of you Chicago sports fans. I will make sure that my boy Adam talks some little men's volleyball, or at least some Lewis volleyball as well, since that's kind of in the Chicago area too. But with all that being said, let's jump on into the final segment of Set Point. So let's discuss a little LOVB volleyball. So LOVB, again, I'm going to try to skim through this as much as possible because we are an hour and 5 minutes past the hour. So I digress, though. All right, so the LOVB Week 8 kind of got started as the Weekend with Love, or LOVB. Or no, it got started on Thursday, February 27th. So we had LOVB Salt Lake taking on LOVB Houston. The Red Hot LOVB Houston looked like they were going to pretty much win this one, but surprisingly, Salt Lake wound up sweeping Houston, which, again, I think it's a little surprising if you ask me. I didn't think that was going to be possible, but sometimes you never know. This is why you play the game. This is why you can't simulate things, but I digress. Anyway, Roni Jones-Perry led the way for Salt Lake with 12 kills. Heldy Casanova added 11 kills. Haley Washington had 7 kills. Claire Hoffman, 9 kills. LOVB Houston did not have one player in terms of double digits in terms of kills. So Houston kind of cooled off in terms of that little matchup right there. So it is what it is, but for Houston, they kind of got to get up off the mat, which you're about to see why they're actually not all that far behind. And speaking of PVF or we'll go over the PVF standings a little bit later, but we're talking LOVB right now. So now the weekend with LOVB went to Madison. So LOVB Madison finally got the losing streak off their back as they took down LOVB Omaha in 4 sets. Now, I did not see this one coming from a mile away. I thought Omaha was going to get their lick back, but surprisingly, Madison was able to pull off the win as Annie Drew Schumacher. I will still refer to her as Annie Drews. I will live and die by the sword and refer to her as Annie Drews. But Annie Drews had 23 kills, which I thought was pretty darn good if you ask me. And it was a much-needed win for LOVB Madison. I thought Madison, again, just like the San Diego Mojo, I didn't think when the next win was going to be coming for LOVB Madison. Claire Chausse also added 13 kills. Anna Beatrice Correa and Jennifer Janiska both had 7 kills. For Omaha, they had 4 different players with 10-plus kills, as Jordan Larson, the governor, led the way with 16 kills. Maddie Kubik Banks, she must have recently got married. Maddie Kubik had 15 kills. Kim Drunlock had 12 kills. Lauren Stivrins also added 10 kills. Now, my takeaway for this match is congratulations, Madison. You finally pulled off a win. I was waiting for y'all to pull off a win, and it took a while for them, but they finally got the job done. They finally pulled off the sweep. But for Omaha, you're about to see why that loss is very concerning. You lost to the worst team in the league. And the day after, they played the best team in the league in LOVB Atlanta. But you're going to be surprised on what happened. So the first 2 sets, Omaha took them 25-21 and then 27-25. I'm just looking at this matchup, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, it looks like Omaha is going to snap that streak. I'm very impressed with them. I think they've got this. Except they didn't really. LOVB Omaha got reverse swept by LOVB Atlanta. 25-19, 25-23, and 15-12. And, man, if you're an Omaha fan, you got to be really frustrated with yourself, as Magda Yelasheva almost had a double-double as she had 12 kills and 9 points for a combined 21 points. But Yelasheva had 12 points, as I mentioned. She only had 2 hitting errors as well, and she also had 9 blocks, like I mentioned. Gia Day had 15 kills to lead Atlanta, to go along with 13 digs. Kelsey Cook had 12 kills and 16 digs, and then Tia Jimerson had 13 kills. For Omaha, they were led by Kim Drunlock, who had 18 kills and 11 digs. Maddie Kubik Banks had 16 kills and 7 digs. Jordan Larson had 16 digs and 13 kills. And then Lauren Stivrins added 9 kills. So, yeah, now for the true takeaway the entire week of LOVB Omaha. What is going on with them? I don't understand how they're looking so – I don't know why they're going south. And now they're at the point where they're under 500. This was an Omaha team that I thought was going to contend. I thought that LOVB Omaha was going to be the muscle of the entire league, but they're going the wrong way, and they really need to get that win ASAP. For Atlanta, this was a good reverse sweep, even though it wasn't at their gym and it wasn't in Omaha. I think this was a very impressive win over a team desperate for a win. So I thought that was a good showing for them. I just think that they can't get themselves in a situation like that because they're not going to reverse sweep themselves to victory all the time. LOVB Omaha needs a shot of wheatgrass or a shot of some sort of confidence booster to try to get them back into the win column because it's only going to get tougher from here on out. And then the last match to close off Week 8, we had LOVB Madison registering their first ever sweep as they swept LOVB Austin, which I thought was a very good win. They wound up winning 25-22, 25-21, and 25-17. So the player of the match was Lauren Carlini, who I thought she had 9 digs to go along with a team hitting efficiency of 311, and she also had 40 assists, and she had 1 kill, which got spiked off her head and then eventually landed on the back line of the other team's side. She just went full Scott Sterling, and I'm happy for her, and I'm glad she is not badly hurt or anything of that sort. Annie Drew Schumacher led the way with 17 kills, and she also had 6 digs. Claire Chaussee had 9 kills to go along with 11 digs. And then she tied for the lead in the dig department as Malika Nedved had 11 digs. For LOVB Austin, they were led by Chiaka Agbagu, who had 11 kills. You also had Logan Eggleston and Maddie Skinner both leading Austin, or both chipping in with 7 kills. Their dig leader was Zoe Jarvis, who had 9 digs. Zoe Fleck is her maiden name, but remember, she got married too. Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to these last names when it comes to these athletes getting married, but I digress. So the takeaway for LOVB Madison is this might have been the big week that they needed in order to get back into their winning ways, because let's be honest, they were getting the floor mopped up with them. For Austin, this is kind of saddening, getting swept by the last place team. Now, fortunately, they are still in 3rd place with Omaha, but they too are going to need a little bit of a morale booster. Otherwise, they're going to go the wrong way when it comes to playoff time. Anyway, so Week 9 of LOVB starts off with LOVB Omaha taking on LOVB Salt Lake. So before we get on into it, I actually do want to check out the standings for the current LOVB league. You have LOVB Atlanta still in 1st place at 8-1. Other than the loss to LOVB Houston in the LOVB Classic, they've officially won 8 straight matches, which I think is pretty darn good. You've got LOVB Houston in 2nd place at 5-4. LOVB Austin and LOVB Omaha are both tied for 3rd. Right behind LOVB Omaha is LOVB Salt Lake at 4-6. And then LOVB Madison is bringing up the rear at 3-7. But they've won 2 in a row, so don't let Madison get hot. Speaking of LOVB Salt Lake, they play at LOVB Omaha. All right, this is going to be on ESPNU, so if there's any motivation for LOVB Omaha, they really need to get up off the bat. They're playing at home. They really need to show up and show out, because this has become extremely concerning if you're an Omaha fan, because now they've lost 4 straight, if you're including the tournament. But Omaha really needs a shot of morale booster. Otherwise, this could go south for them sooner rather than later. So LVB Austin, my message to you, get up off the mat, flush all your losses down the toilet, and actually play some darn good volleyball. I know it's easier said than done, but what can you do? And speaking of Atlanta, remember I said that they didn't beat Omaha in Atlanta? Well, they get to host LOVB Weekend with LOVB as Weekend with LOVB heads to Atlanta. So Friday, you've got LOVB Houston at LOVB Atlanta. Well, I want to see Atlanta try to play with some fire in their bellies and try to get the lick back against Houston after they beat them in the LOVB Classic. But we shall see. Atlanta's good, but Houston, having been embarrassed by Salt Lake, they got to get their lick back. And even though Houston is in second place, they're only in second place by 1 game. So if they lose one and then Omaha or Salt Lake the winner of Salt Lake Omaha wins, then if Houston loses, then they could be seeing themselves tied for second with the winner of Salt Lake Omaha. And then the doubleheader on Saturday, that Houston-Atlanta match is on Friday. It's doubleheader on Saturday. We have LOVB Madison at LOVB Houston. If Madison plays the way that they did against Omaha and Austin, they could very easily win against Houston. My only thing for Houston is this is a big weekend for them. They're playing the best team in the league and the worst team in the league. So if I'm LOVB Houston, you pull no punches when it comes to Madison. No doubt about it. And then closing off weekend with LOVB in Atlanta in week 9 is LOVB Austin taking on LOVB Atlanta. All right, well, I want to see LOVB Atlanta continue their winning ways. They have the Texas two-step. If you get that reference, do let me know. But yeah, for LOVB Atlanta, they got to continue their winning ways. They know that they can't play with any team. They can't mess around. Otherwise, they could find themselves, I mean, they've got a distant first place. They are 8-1. They are plenty of games ahead of Houston. But Houston might be licking their chops, wondering, maybe if we go 2-0, and then maybe if we get some help from our I-45 neighbors in Austin, maybe, just maybe, we can possibly creep up in terms of the standings. It only takes a good weekend and a bad weekend to get yourself back in the first place race. But that'll do it for the Week 9 preview of LOVB. All right, let's move on from that. But before we discuss our next topic, I actually do want to backtrack over to the standings of the PVF. So let's just exit out of here. And the league standings are as follows. You've got Orlando in first place at 10-4. They've won 9 straight, which I think is pretty darn cool. You got Omaha in second place at 9-4, only a half game back of Orlando. Then you've got Indy in third place. Well, Indy and Vegas are both 7-6, but Indy, it technically does have the tiebreaker, technically for some weird reason, but I digress. Atlanta is in fourth place, or Atlanta's in fifth place at 6-8. Grand Rapids is in sixth place at 5-8, as well as the San Diego Mojo, and the Columbus Fury are 4-9. Well, don't look now for the Mojo. They're not too far back. They just got to continue their winning ways, which might be easier said than done. But again, their next 3 matches are against teams that are under 500, aka the Rise, the Fury, and then the Rise again. And then Orlando, I think they should still be able to continue their winning ways. They play the Fury, but if there's one thing we've all learned from the Fury taking on the Thrill, where the Fury wound up upsetting the Thrill, it's that no team can be underestimated. All right, but that is that for the PBF standings right there. Now let's actually discuss a little high school boys volleyball. So high school boys volleyball headlines for this past week. Mira Costa continued to roll. Huntington Beach stunned Loyola. So jumping to Wednesday, we had Loyola getting stunned on the road against Huntington Beach. Keep in mind, this is a Huntington Beach team that is nowhere near full strength. They've got a few players out. They did get Colin Choi back, but they still have 3 players that are still in the sit-out period after they transferred to Huntington Beach. So for Huntington Beach pulling off a 5-set win against Loyola, where the ending of that match might have been the most bizarre ending ever. Loyola lost on an out-of-rotation violation. Oh, my God. Imagine being in a 5th set down 14-13, and then you're out of rotation. That's just got to hurt right there. And you got to feel bad for Loyola if you're a Loyola fan. But at the same time, you just can't mess that up. So it's disappointing for Loyola, but it's only their second week. I mean, I feel they were going to get a big rough and tumble matchup against Huntington Beach, especially how Redondo Union played Loyola. Now, for Huntington Beach, if they can play like this with not at full strength, I can't imagine this team at full strength. This team is going to be scary good. I think Huntington Beach can contend in CIF. I think Huntington Beach is going to be legit good. And Mira Costa has shown to be proven a little human, as they wound up going 2-0 last week. They took down St. Clemente, which is a good team, at Mira Costa. But then they also took down Newport Harbor at Newport Harbor in 4 sets. It's actually their first win at Newport Harbor since 2016, before the Avery Drost era. As Mira Costa, the 3rd set, they actually wound up winning 30-28. They were down 24-23. And unfortunately for Newport Harbor, being a little bit of a team that's still trying to figure out things, they just could not put away the Mustangs in that third set. Had they done so, it probably would have gone 5, but I don't know what would have happened in that 5th set. But Miracosta remains undefeated, and they still continue to roll. But I think that Newport Harbor loss might be their wake-up call. So you have that right there, and that's pretty much it for all the notable headlines right there. And then jumping this week to Best of the West. So Best of the West is this weekend and popping up on screen really quickly, just so I don't get copyrighted, is the Best of the West pool play schedule. So Miracosta is obviously the number 1 seed. Loyola, Huntington Beach, Torrey Pines, Carlsbad, Newport Harbor, Beckman, and Corona Del Mar all round out the top seeds of the pools. Some other notable teams are Sandra Day O'Connor, who wound up winning the tournament a few years ago. You have Servite, which kind of had a rough week against the Newport Beach schools, Newport Harbor and Corona Del Mar. You have Tesoro, which I think is starting to work their way back. Mater Dei, who took Redondo Union to 5, but ultimately fell. San Clemente, I think, can definitely make noise. Del Norte, I think, since they're kind of have a little bit of a home field advantage, I think they can definitely make noise as well, at least in pool play. But that's pretty much that for the Best of the West tournament. Again, one more quick flash on screen. That is pretty much your pools. Pool play begins at 2 p.m. Pacific time, and then the gold bracket begins, I think, at 9 a.m., if not 8 a.m. I think it's at 9 a.m., though. But I digress. So you have that right there, and that is pretty much that for the Best of the West, and that's a very prestigious tournament. Last year, Miracosta wound up winning it, and I would not be surprised if they wound up winning it again. No offense to the other 31 teams partaking, but Miracosta, I think, is the real deal. So let's not beat around the bush real quick. They've got a lot of good players like Grayson Bradford, Mateo Furbringer, Thatcher Fallbush, Cooper Keene. Contrary to popular belief, Cooper Keene did play this past week against Newport Harbor and San Clemente, and Cooper Keene is big for Miracosta. No pun intended. But that is that right there for some high school boys volleyball talk. So now let's talk some 3C2A men's volleyball. But first, I actually do want to go over the comment section. Ralph Calise says, "Good evening, Teran. Have an amazing show. I appreciate you." And then Ralph Calise says, "Does volleyball use brackets for a tournament for any championships?" Some do, some don't. In terms of the NCAA and NAI. Well, no. In terms of, NCAA they use a bracket. NAI they use pool play, and then they use a bracket. For the high school boys volleyball section that I'm from, the California section, they use a bracket unless it's like Division I, where they use pool play, and then whoever emerges first in each pool, they advance to the final. So, and then in terms of the SoCal regionals and NorCal regionals, yeah, it does use a bracket. So to answer your question, Ralph, does volleyball use brackets for a tournament for any championships? For the most part, yes. Unless it's CIF Southern Section Division I. Then it uses pool play. So they have it right there. But for the 3C2A, we had Orange Coast sweeping San Diego Mesa last Wednesday. Other than the first set, Orange Coast looked like the champions that I thought they would be. They looked like the OCC that was so invincible. They were digging everything. They didn't care who was on the other side of the net, whether their opponents were 6'7", 7 feet. It did not matter. Orange Coast looked so dominant in their conference opener. They took down San Diego Mesa, and they followed that up by reverse sweeping San Diego Miramar on the road. Now, San Diego Miramar is actually a sneaky good team. I don't think that's a bad way to win in terms of taking down a team like Miramar. I will say, though, that this just goes to show that their conference, who I unfortunately don't know their name, I'm just going to call it the Southern Conference, just because I think that that part of California with the San Diego schools and some of the Orange County schools, I think that's close to the South. And then for all the LA schools and Fullerton, that's kind of more up north, if you ask me. But that's just my opinion, and I don't know the criteria of who makes the playoffs, whether it's like top four of each league or if it goes by rankings. Like there has to be some sort of reasonable way the 3C2A kind of redid the leagues, or conferences. But Tuesday we had Santa Barbara sweeping Santa Monica in that lone matchup. Wednesday, like I mentioned, we had Orange Coast sweeping away San Diego Mesa. Golden West swept Grossmont, which means Golden West is the lone undefeated team remaining in the 3C2A in men's volleyball, which I think is pretty good. We had Fullerton reverse sweeping LA Pierce. San Diego Miramar swept Santiago Canyon. El Camino took down Antelope Valley in 5, and then Irvine Valley took down Palomar in straight sets. Then Thursday, we had Moore Park continuing their winning ways as they took down Long Beach City in 4 at Moore Park. Very good win for the Raiders, because some Raiders have to do good. Even though Long Beach is kind of in a little bit of a rebuild, remember, new head coach Joshua Nels, former NVA player. Got to find out about that, but I digress. But yeah, back to Friday, or to Orange Coast matchup against Miramar. The first 2 sets, Miramar took them to 25-19 and 25-18. Then Orange Coast kind of got back into their groove, kind of showed why they were the back-to-back-to-back state champions, winning set 3 and 4 by scores of 25-13 and 25-16. Set 5 was close, but Coast was able to eventually pull away and win that 5th set 15-12, which I think was a very good win. Then you had Santa Barbara taking down El Camino. Unfortunately, the 3C2A didn't bother updating Grossmont, Santiago Canyon, and LA Pierce and Long Beach City. I imagine Long Beach City took down Pierce, and then most likely Grossmont took down Santiago Canyon. But we had Moore Park sweeping Santa Monica, Fullerton outlasting Antelope Valley in 5. Don't look now, but Fullerton is a whopping 2-0 in conference play. San Diego Mesa sweeping Irvine Valley. Fairly close scores, 21, 22, and 21. And then Golden West took down Palomar in straight sets. So you have that right there. And that is that for last week from the 3C2A in men's volleyball. Then jumping over to Wednesday in terms of this week of the 3C2A, you have on Wednesday Irvine Valley at San Diego Miramar. This one's going to be a fun matchup. I really want to see what Miramar is made of. I want to see them try to bounce back from this loss. It's the battle of 2 1-1 teams. Only one team from the South Conference can move it to 2-1. Then you got Santa Barbara hosting Fullerton. Fullerton is 2-0, but let's see how they fare against a much better team that's not below average. No offense to Antelope Valley or Pierce. Then you have LA Pierce at Santa Monica. I imagine Santa Monica is going to win that one. I'd be shocked if Pierce found a way to win. And then Long Beach City at Antelope Valley. Long Beach should win that one. Then you've got Moore Park hosting El Camino. Moore Park can win that one fairly easily. Santiago Canyon at Palomar. I hate to say that, but that's a meh matchup. Then you've got Grossmont, Orange Coast. Orange Coast should win that one. I'd be stunned if they wound up losing. And then we've got the big match of the week, San Diego Mesa hosting Golden West. All right, something's got to give here. Golden West is the lone undefeated team in the 3C2A, but they've got a big road match ahead of them. I'll be surprised if Golden West or San Diego Mesa sweeps one other. And you also got to remember that Golden West saw their season come to an end against San Diego Mesa. So if I'm Golden West, I have that on the back of my mind. And then also on Thursday, we have Orange Coast hosting Jamestown. Really interesting matchup. So Orange Coast used to always schedule like Aquinas from Division III. Now they're hosting Jamestown, which I think is pretty darn cool if you ask me, because Travis Turner does have some ties to some of these teams. So it's another big week for Orange Coast. I kind of wonder why Orange Coast put this right in the middle of conference play. But their Friday matchup, they're at Palomar. I don't think they should worry too much about that. And then on Friday's slate, we have Santiago Canyon at San Diego Mesa. Mesa should probably roll to victory. Antelope Valley at Santa Monica. Yeah, Santa Monica should win that one also. Moore Park at Fullerton. That can kind of be a sneaky good matchup. I think Fullerton, if they want to win that one, they're going to need to play some scrappy volleyball. I mean, Moore Park's just good, though. Like, Moore Park, I think, is the real deal. And I think that might be the 4th best team in the conference in no particular order. I'm sorry, not 4th best team in the conference in no particular order. 4th best team in the 3C2A in men's volleyball. So I think my projected Final Four, my way too early Final Four, will be Orange Coast, San Diego Mesa, Golden West, and Moore Park. No offense to the other teams. If you want to prove me wrong, make me eat my crow. Then you also get Santa Barbara at Long Beach City. That could be a good matchup right there. I think Long Beach is kind of looking to keep pace with Moore Park after dropping that conference opener. They know they get another rematch with Moore Park, but they just can't look that far ahead. Then you also got Grossmont and Irvine Valley. Yeah, I can see Irvine Valley winning that one. Then LA Pierce, El Camino. Yeah, that's another meh matchup. Like I mentioned, Orange Coast at Palomar. Unless Orange Coast has fatigue from their matches against Jamestown and Grossmont, I could see Coast winning that one. And then San Diego Miramar travels to Huntington Beach to take on Golden West. That's going to be a very good matchup. I really want to see Miramar pull off a big-time win. And this is such a massive week for Golden West because Golden West, again, they're the lone undefeated team in the 3C2A in men's volleyball. And I feel that their next few matches are also against ringers as well. Next week's matchups, they've got ringers as well. But they can only focus on the matchup at hand, and that just so happens to be against Mesa. Then they can move on to Miramar. Then they can move on to IVC, which I think anything can happen when it comes to those two. They will get a bye. Oh, no, they got Santiago Canyon. Then they kind of get a little bit of a breather. But honestly, for Golden West, that schedule of theirs is going to really start to pick up. And I wouldn't be surprised if they had to sweat a few matches out. But I think that Golden West is up for the challenge. I mean, they are coached by the Nick Amato. But I digress in that regard. But that's kind of your matchups to watch for in terms of the 3C2A and men's volleyball. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. Thank you all for tuning into this week's episode. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to also check out the Supporters Club. It's only $5 a month. I would greatly appreciate it if you all were to support Set Point and all of what I do. I try to put out great content to the best of my ability and so on and so forth. But if you can't become a donor or you want to donate but can't, just feel free to message me on Instagram at set_point IESR, which I will put up right about now. Yeah, message me right here if you want to make a donation or if you want to contribute to the show by any way, means necessary. You could also promote the show. Like I mentioned, just tell a volleyball friend or your moms and dads who played volleyball that, hey, there's this volleyball podcast that covers everything volleyball, from high school to junior college to NCAA. Maybe I'll throw in a little NAIA, to the pros, to the AVP, to the PVF, to the LOVB, to hopefully the NVA soon, but we shall see. But until then, for everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have a great week. Enjoy all the volleyball action, and hopefully I will see you all on Friday and on Saturday at TCU. Have a great week, everybody. Peace. And now I got to go back. Whoops. There we go.